Peace to you, dear family. I am so pleased that you are with us today. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased to be a contributor here on this amazing Africa Diaspora television network. Please like and share and give us the thumbs up as you come in to this broadcast. Thank you so very much. I want to share with you a story very briefly, a story that's very near and dear to my heart. Right now, I'm reading from the Atlanta BlackStar.com newspaper that was just written recently. And I've been on this story. I've been keeping up with this for quite some time, actually. But this is discussing the fact that a Texas judge denied Crystal Mason's appeal to overturn 5-year prison sentence for illegally voting. Listen to the details of this story. A Texas 3-judge panel has upheld the 5-year prison sentence of a Black woman who voted illegally in the 2016 presidential election. Crystal Mason, 45, has been fighting her appeal sentence after a judge ordered her to prison after she cast a provisional ballot, not knowing her status as a convicted felon on parole made her ineligible to vote. Her ballot ultimately wasn't counted. Her lawyers are seeking to have a full panel of the Court of Appeals for the 2nd District of Texas review the decision, according to a release published by the American Civil Liberties Union on last Friday. Now, why is this story so near and dear to me? Why is it so personal? Because I personally know this lady. As an activist, I have personally been targeted and spent years literally in the belly of the beast in a federal facility in Texas with this very sister. Crystal is an amazing, beautiful Black woman. And let me tell you something, after she served her time, Crystal went home and she was a model citizen. She followed all the rules in a short amount of time. She got on with the transportation department in Texas. She continued to raise and be responsible for 3 of her own children, raising and having guardianship for 4 of her brother's children. And she had some sort of custody and guardianship of some of her grandchildren. What an amazing woman. And then she started her own business in addition to all of that, if that wasn't enough. And so one day when Crystal was with her mother told her, Crystal, don't forget to vote. And Crystal said, okay, Mom, I'll make sure that I vote. So really in obedience to her own mother, Crystal went to vote. She didn't keep it a secret. She didn't hide the fact that she was a felon. In fact, when she got there, they ended up giving her a provisional ballot that did not ultimately even count. The provisional ballot was never even counted, y'all. Sometime later, out of nowhere, she received a call from her parole officer while she was under supervised release. She was a model citizen. Met with the parole officer. Parole officer told her that she was going to be violated because they found out that she had voted and that she attempted to vote and that it was illegal for her to vote. And that was a violation of her supervised release terms. Going before a federal judge. She ended up appealing it because it was an actual state matter. If you understand how voting and stuff works, that's actually a state issue in Crystal's case. But because she was on federal supervised release, they considered that to be a violation. They made her go back to federal prison, I think for about 10 months, not just shy of a whole year, y'all, for a violation, for not knowing that she couldn't vote. Her own parole officers, folk in that office, even testified that they never even told her that she couldn't. Made it clear that there was not any specific documentation that directed her not to do otherwise. She thought she was being a model citizen, y'all. And so the courts just came down, ruling against her. That's one level of appeal in Texas. So again, as I just mentioned just a second ago, according to her attorneys, they expressed disappointment, but they said that they're going to appeal, continue to fight on behalf of Crystal, and ask that the entire Second Court of Appeals rehear the decision. As I just mentioned before, listen to this. It says Mason was also sentenced to an additional 10 months in federal prison for violating the terms of her parole. I'm going to skip down here. It also says that she acknowledged not reading the warning, which was printed on the back of the provisional ballot, which she focused on filling out the other side with her personal information. This whole thing, family, is a tragedy. Now, why am I bringing this up? In addition to it being personally, I want to continue to bring attention to this, because this system, in this American democracy, in the United States of America, where we pride ourselves of being the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we say that we're all about democracy, we go around the world and tell the world how they should emulate us. The way we govern, we tell the world they should do it this way. But yet too many of our citizens are unable to even vote in America. America engages in so many different types of voter suppression and voter theft and different forms of disenfranchisement. But yet they keep specifically appealing to Black folk, especially the Democrats, telling us to vote or die. They try to use scare tactics and tell us that our ancestors died for our right to vote. Are y'all hearing me today? Well, I want to let you guys know. I want to know, where is Bernie Sanders on this? I have not seen a press release. I haven't seen a tweet. I haven't seen any statement on Bernie Sanders condemning this Texas appeals court for upholding an unjust 5-year prison sentence. Now think about what I just said. She did years in federal prison already for the crime that they said she committed. She came out being a model citizen. They threw her back in federal prison as a violation for just under a year. And now, if this next appeals court upholds the previous appeals court sentence, are y'all hearing me today? She is looking at a 5-year prison stint in state prison. In the state pen, she's looking at another 5-year sentence. That's cruel and unusual punishment, family. The descendants of American slaves, foundational Black Americans who built this country, are being penalized and given harsh sentences for what? For murdering somebody? No. For selling drugs into their community? For kidnapping someone? No. For voting. Upholding that sentence in 2020. We're not talking about 1865-ish era, 19th century. We're not talking about during the civil rights era where our ancestors were fighting to vote. Some of our elders that alive today, that's still alive today, some of them were fighting to vote. Here and now. To this day, do you know that they mess with the laws and they have changed the rules and the policies for Sunday voting in some areas? Why? Because they know that's a high voting day for Black folk, and that Black folk, they found, vote in large numbers. Some of them after church, they make it a family affair, a church affair. They get in the vans, they go in large numbers to vote. So now they've started to obstruct our ability to vote even on the weekends, early voting and stuff. Then in some areas, they penalize you if you come in groups. Isn't that crazy? Then in certain Black areas, they make sure that you only have 1 or 2 voting machines there, so that you're in line, like the most recent election, for 7 hours, some folks were. And they know during that 7-hour period, some folks might be on break, so they have to get back to work. They know some folks have children, so they need to go home and tend to the children. If they're with babysitters or if somebody's watching them, they know that they have to leave. So they intentionally do and engage in all of these tricks right here in America. And if that wasn't enough, your politicians engage in what they call gerrymandering. They manipulate the maps so that they can gain an electoral advantage. We know during the Bush administration, we know some folks specifically in Florida, we know in other places as well, but for sure Florida made the news because some of our folks were in Florida. When a lot of our Black family went to vote, they found out that we were disproportionately put down in large numbers as felons, and a lot of our people weren't felons. So when they went to vote, their vote in that moment didn't count. This is America in our day, in our time. But yet today they tell us vote or die. They tell us just vote, specifically because they know that the Republicans know that the Republicans are openly hostile against us. They're openly racist. So the Republicans know that they don't really have a chance with the majority of Black folks. So the Democrats, who we've been loyal to for over 40 plus years, they're used to just coming in to your churches, making you feel good. They come and attend your fish fry or your chicken fries, your fried chicken meetings and stuff. Come on, y'all. They engage in dancing and stuff, treating you like immature voters, like you're an immature electorate. They don't offer you any specific Black agenda, and most especially, they're not offering you a substantive economic Black agenda. And they know that Black folks are just going to get excited because they have nearness to whiteness, because white folks showed up. That's enough to drive us to the polls, to put them back in power for nothing. Well, it's a new day. Our votes are for sale. We engage in quid pro quo. That is to say, we're going to get something for our vote. Somebody talk Black to me. Only a slave does something for nothing. We have been conditioned to be more concerned about the oppressor, about their well-being, and neglecting our own. Only a slave does something for nothing. So when you rise up and you say, oh no, baby, you're going to have to push for a Black economic agenda. You're going to have to discuss reparations and the like. And that's not all. That's just the beginning of what we're demanding. All of a sudden, Black folk are the enemy. Mainstream white society always expects us, to save them from themselves. I'm going to say that again. America always expects Black people to save them from themselves. We're not doing that anymore. And that's making them very afraid, because when you don't do something for nothing, when you demand something for your vote, like every other constituency does, that is a signal and a sign of a free-thinking Black person. My dear friend, Crystal Mason Hobbs, who is actually being persecuted here in America, she is being used to make Black folk afraid and to stop us from showing up at the polls, yes. But it is also another way to once again ignore us and discount us. And we're not going to continue to let that happen. By talking about these things, I want you to understand that we're going to have to tend to our own Black business regardless to what's going on in traditional political terms. We're going to have to invest in Black schools, begin to teach our own Black children. We're going to have to invest and support Black businesses. We're going to have to make our own neighborhoods safe and decent places to live. And while we're under quarantine, we need to continue to quarantine ourselves by investing in our own selves and removing ourselves bit by bit from the extraordinary control of white supremacy. One other tidbit that I want to say. Whenever you hear some of these butter biscuit bootlicks, when you see some of our people out there caping for members of the dominant society, when they come to us and they tell us to vote or die, they tell us it doesn't matter whether we get anything or not to still vote because it's in our best interest to vote for Democrats. I want to remind you, when they tell us, when they say to you that your ancestors would demand that we vote, when they try to use fear tactics to tell us that our ancestors died for us to vote, I want you to remind them of one of our ancestors. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad in particular, he's that great founder of the Nation of Islam. He always talks about the limitations of political government and how it won't save us. But not only did he say that from the beginning, nearly a century ago, but W.E.B. Du Bois, how many of you all remember him? While I've had some philosophical issues with him, especially when he came against our great brother, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, one of the things that I definitely do agree with W.E.B. Du Bois about, we know he loved Black people. But he wrote an article for The Nation, October 20th of 1956. W.E.B. Du Bois, one of our ancestors that's revered amongst Black society. He wrote a piece entitled, Why I Won't Vote. In this piece that he wrote for The Nation in 1956, he delivers an eloquent indictment of the U.S. policies and politics while explaining to nation readers why he won't vote in the upcoming presidential election. Du Bois condemns both Democrats and Republicans for their indifferent positions on the influence of corporate wealth, racial inequality, arms proliferation, and unaffordable health care. Run tell that. That's one of our most profound and prolific ancestors, W.E.B. Du Bois, who wrote a piece in 1956, seemingly saying the same thing that we're saying in 2020. We're going to get something for our vote this time. And I want all of us, brothers and sisters, to hold the line. And I brought up my sister, Crystal Mason Hobbs, to simply say, that's just another reason why we will not compromise. I'm demanding Bernie Sanders. I'm demanding Joe Biden. I'm demanding these presidential candidates to come forth and say something, use their platform to speak on behalf of our sister, Crystal Mason. This is just another reason why we must be uncompromising in us voting for nothing. Continue to look out for your Black brothers and sisters that are locked up, that are being mistreated all throughout America and quite frankly around the world. The African diaspora. My name is Vicki Dillard. Thank you so much for tuning in to this amazing network. In addition, of course, to supporting the network, please check out my website at onpurposewithvicky.com and please subscribe to my budding page at vickydillard.tv. You can also follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. That's Vicki X Dillard. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you again. I came to you in peace. I leave you in peace. Free the land, beloved.